Hello viewers, today for the initial checkout we have an AT&T 5.8 GHz digital or digitan spread spectrum telephone. This is the model number 5840. It takes in the DC 7 volts at 1000 milliamps, which is kind of an oddity. Unfortunately, it was manufactured in China, and it is labeled under Advanced American Telephones, which I believe is the company that did the manufacturing of this unit. And then the AT&T is just a name. This originally had 6 handsets. It came to me with only 5 of them, and 4 of them were in varying states of disrepair, unfortunately. So I'm just going to do the video with one of the handsets, and then I'll have to repair the others later on. I'm kind of surprised that it failed, that so many of them failed, because this particular system, I believe, is pretty much identical as far as the internals are concerned to the VTech 5881 or 5831 telephone, which, unlike most of VTech's products, seems to have very consistently stood the test of time. I can't think of really any cases where I've run into a 5881 where the handset had a bad speaker or a bad screen or anything like that. The buttons didn't last the longest if they got dirty, but if they was kept clean, they were fine. A lot of the VTech models from that era seem to have bad screens. A lot of speakers went out. So I'm a little bit surprised that this one had such a high failure rate. This seems to be a generally uncommon model. The 5881 and 5831 variants seem to be much more common. And those are very nostalgic to me because I grew up with a set of those. We bought them new back in 03 or 04, right when they had first come out. And those was used for a number of years at the other house. And so, naturally, I find this one a bit interesting considering how similar it is to the 5881. It's got some neat AT&T branding on the handset and on the base. The screen is fine on this one. It's the same operating system as far as I can tell as is on the 5831. It's 7:31 the PM. The sounds are the same. The buttons are not exactly the same, but they're kind of that same like shiny black material. The backlighting is blue. On the 5881 it was blue or green depending on the age of the unit. And this phone has some kind of sticky pink stuff on her. I guess it's makeup for whatever that's needed for. And it's on all of the handsets. I'm very surprised that the buttons still work just fine considering how dirty they are. So this is handset 6. There's a secret code you have to type into the base keypad on the 5881 or 5831 models to clear the registration. I suspect there is some kind of a secret handshake to do it on this set as well, but it is not known to me at this time, and I couldn't find any documentation for it in the instructions manual. I don't know why these companies don't document this stuff. I have on a number of occasions called AT&T and asked them about it for different models, and they were able to relatively easily provide the code. So they do have them, and they do have a record of the codes. I don't know why they wouldn't just put it into the instruction manual. But anyways, so this is stuck with 6 handsets. Now I believe you could register over it, perhaps. I don't know, because there's the base ID. I think in theory you could maybe just re-register, but then I don't know what would it overwrite. I don't know, so maybe you couldn't register anymore.
Change announcement.
Oh, that's interesting. It has the older voice. I like that voice. It's one of my favorite voices for the answering machines. Looks like there's an awful lot of dust in that speaker. That's a little bit ridiculous. Okay, so looks like there's some paint on the antenna. You'll have to get that off. Looks like it comes off relatively easily. It's got a spare battery compartment. It takes the same kind of battery that the handsets take. Now this system came to me with these Kistar batteries. These are the nickel metal hydride battery. They're supposed to be 1600 milliamps at 2.4 volts. And thus far, it seems like it's working. I charged it up for a while, and it seems to be like it's generally working. I have tried to buy these batteries in the past, and they were awful. Absolutely awful. They just flat out didn't work. So, I don't know. I'm surprised that these are working. I didn't have really any expectation for those. So this is a very flashy phone. As were a lot of the earlier 5.8s, they were designed to look very catchy and high-tech. Probably because a lot of 5.8 gigahertz was pretty much a gimmick. It didn't solve much of the interference issues because most of them were dual band, this one included, where it was 2.4 back from the handset to the base, which of course would still interfere with your cordless computer network. And ironically enough, now we have this 5.8 gigahertz Wi-Fi, which creates interference on the base to handset transmission. So if you use Wi-Fi in almost any capacity, this phone is bound to cause some kind of a problem, despite the advertising at the time that would say it does not. Looks like this one has a flashy blue ring on the handset earpiece and a fancy flashy blue light on the base. The 5881 and 5831 had a light up there, which is another blue kind of light that would turn on when you turn the phone on, and would also come on when it was ringing. You have a base speakerphone, which seems to be fine. 3 mailbox answering machine, and a charging indicator that takes some time to come on. It probably is, the contacts are probably dirty. And it sounded like there was a greeting on here. Let's see what it was.
Change. Announcement.
Carolyn Cantor screening for unwanted sales calls. Please leave your name and number. Thank you. Oh, maybe I did. Oh, there it goes. Now I haven't got any. I don't know what to do.
That greeting is fantastic. Let's hear
Mailbox
that again.
1. You have change.
Carolyn Cantor screening for unwanted sales calls. Please leave your name and number. Thank you. Oh, maybe I did. Oh, there it goes. Now I haven't got any. I don't know what to do.
That's hilarious. I'm going to keep that on there. Alright, so we need to set the clock. I think it'll set when I ring it up here.
Carolyn Cantor screening for unwanted sales calls. Please leave your name and number. Thank you. Oh, maybe I did. Oh, there it goes. Now I haven't got any. I don't know what to do.
This is an unwanted sales call. I don't know what to do now. I guess I'll just hang up. Oh, it's on announce only.
Change announcement. Change remote access code. Change message alert. Change announce only. On. Off. Change call screening. On. Off. Change number of rings. 4. Change announcement. Answering system is answering.
Hi, you've reached the Michaels family. We can't take your call right now, but if you leave a message, we'll get back to you. Have a nice day.
Well, that greeting isn't anywhere nearly as comical as the other one is. Well, I guess I can change the, I can record a new greeting now. Because I want to keep that announcement.
Hi, you've reached the Michaels family. We can't take your call right now, but if you leave a message, we'll get back to you. Have a nice day.
I'm going to have whatever kind of day I want to have.
Change announcement. Now recording.
I am screening for wanted sales calls, solicited advertisements, and other nuisance calls that waste my time. Have whatever kind of day you want, but you need to leave a message or I'm not calling you back.
I am screening for wanted sales calls, solicited advertisements, and other nuisance calls that waste my time. Have whatever kind of day you want, but you need to leave a message or I'm not calling you back.
Is that microphone legit? Nah, it's illegitimate. It looks pretty good though. I'm going to try to record it again. I'll speak into the bottom so it's clearer.
Change announcement. Now recording.
I am screening for wanted sales calls, solicited advertisements, and other nuisance calls that waste my time and create necessary agitation. You can have whatever kind of a day you want. It doesn't have to be a nice one. But you do have to record a message or I'm not calling you back.
I am screening for wanted sales calls, solicited advertisements, and other nuisance calls that waste my time and create necessary agitation. You can have whatever kind of a day you want. It doesn't have to be a nice one. But you do have to record a message or I'm not calling you back. I am screening for wanted sales calls, solicited advertisements, and other nuisance calls that waste my time and create necessary agitation. You can have whatever kind of a day you want. It doesn't have to be a nice one. But you do have to record a message or I'm not calling you back.
This is a solicited sales call to see if you'd like to purchase a sugar pizza. It's like a standard pizza, but it has sugar on top. It costs $8.73. Call us back at 555-1234. Have a crummy day. Goodbye. Okay, just released a line.
Mailbox 1. You have 2 new messages. Monday, 12:14 a.m.
Well, they're greeting it. It's comma.
Message deleted. Monday, 12:17 a.m.
This is a solicited sales call to see if you'd like to purchase a sugar pizza. It's like a standard pizza, but it has sugar on top. It costs $8.73. Call us back at 555-1234. Have a crummy day. Goodbye.
End of messages.
Geez, the audio on that was really the quiet. I wonder if there's something wrong with the message machine. Let's try and call again. This time I'll record from the AT&T 210 corded trimline phone. I was recording from this other phone here. The, whatever that was, the 2500 set. Let's change the ring too. Oops. Okay.
I am screening for wanted sales calls, solicited advertisements, and other nuisance calls that waste my time and create necessary agitation. You can have whatever kind of a day you want. It doesn't have to be a nice one. But you do have to record a message or I'm not calling you back.
Okay, this is testing message number 2. Can you hear me clearly this time? Let's see if that sounded any better.
Mailbox 1. You have 1 new message and 1 old message. Monday, 12:19 a.m.
Okay, this is testing message number 2. Can you hear me clearly this time?
End of messages.
That did sound a little better, but it was still kind of on the quiet side. Testing 1, 2, 3. This is at the full volume. This is on the AT&T 210 telephone. And now this is on the I don't know what brand this thing is. The Premier 2500 telephone. And it doesn't sound like this is much quieter than the 210. Perhaps I'll try another message on this phone and see if it's still quiet.
Wanted sales calls, solicited advertisements, and other nuisance calls that waste my time and create necessary agitation. You can have whatever kind of a day you want. It doesn't have to be a nice one. But you do have to record a message or I'm not calling you back.
Testing 1, 2, 3. It is very important to speak directly into the telephone.
Mailbox 1. You have 1 new message and 2 old messages. Monday, 12:22 a.m.
Sounds like something is echoing.
Testing 1, 2, 3. It's very important to speak directly into the telephone.
End of messages.
No, that was still pretty quiet.
Please select mailbox. All old messages deleted.
I don't know if it's picking up on the camera, but it really sounds like something's resonating.
Mailbox 1. You have no messages.
I don't know where it'd be resonating from. Well, that's working. Let's go back to the default
Change
reading.
announcement. Announcement deleted.
Okay, let's hear what that sounds like.
Hello, please leave a message after the tone. Mailbox 2, now recording.
Goose!
Mailbox 2. You have 1 new message. Monday, 12:23 a.m. Gosh! End of messages. Please select mailbox. All old messages deleted.
It's the answering machine isn't quite right. That's the incoming audio is very quiet. Much quieter than it should be. Okay, let's go over to the mains and let's make an outside call. We'll call the Farmer Jones code line. These do have the volume control on the side, which I like.
Farmer Jones here with crop line update for this second full week of November 1st. The farm winery is open this Thursday the 11th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday the 14th, from noon till 5. These will be the last days of table service, and reservations are encouraged on the weekend. Check the website, jonesfamilyfarms.com. Harvest your own and fresh cut Christmas tree begin the weekend of November 20th and will continue every day except Thanksgiving.
Well, we certainly don't have an issue with audio coming in general because that is very loud and clear.
Beautiful Christmas trees. And our number one priority is to keep our guests safe and to have a wonderful family experience.
I'm going to cycle through the different audio tones now. This is natural. I think the first one is bass, and then treble, then or mid, then treble. So this will be natural. Sample this.
And the Friday after Thanksgiving, you must make a reservation. Consider off-peak times. You did this a year ago with great success to avoid crowds, and we believe with your commitment to flexibility, we can all have a safe and memorable Christmas experience here.
This
the
is
fields
boost.
have a special beauty and peacefulness early in the morning, and weekdays are an option. You'll save money, and no reservations needed.
And this is
except
treble boost.
the Friday after Thanksgiving. The reservation portal is now open. Look to our website for the details.
And back to natural.
JonesFamilyFarms.com.
I tend to like the bass boost. I think that sounds the clearest. So the earpiece audio was good too. That's very clear. I guess that was all the way up. So that's good. So the audio on the handset is good on the incoming side.
Farms.com. Please give us up to 24 hours to respond. If you do need to reach the farm office, 203-929-62. Please leave a clear message, as we're very busy in the fields. Please stay well. Keep in touch. Let's work together in the spirit celebrated by our 2021 handcrafted pewter tree ornament. Winter Wonderlands. It's our gift to you with each harvest your own tree, and it will touch your hearts. Take care. So long.
Okay, so the speakerphone clarity is great, especially on the handset. That was very loud and clear. The bass is pretty good too. I don't think it's quite as loud and clear as the handset is, but it's certainly acceptable. Okay, now we'll go back to the internal line and I'll record some testing messages.
4 new messages and 4 old messages. Message 1.
Greetings. This is the testing message of the AT&T, or the Advanced American Telephones, which is not what AT&T stands for. Model 5.8 GHz Digital Digitan Spread Spectrum Telephone. I am going to exit the studio room now and start walking across the room. And I expect that as I get towards the other side of the room, it may start to get a little bit choppy because I found the range on these phones is generally not that good. Now I'm all the way across the room. I do see the E on the screen for the enhancer mode, so that means it is having a difficult time getting a clear signal. So it probably was choppy over there. Okay, I'm returning back into the studio now, and I will hang up the telephone into the base unit. Okay, it didn't cut off that time because the handset did not make a good contact with the charging cradles. I'll try it again. Still didn't make contact.
Message 2.
Okay, this is the handset on talk again. This is for comparative purposes. I'm going to switch the telephone over to the speakerphone now. Okay, I just switched over to the speakerphone, and I'm speaking at about the same volume and distance as I was before with it on talk. Now I'm going to set the phone down on the table. Okay, the telephone is set down onto the table, and I'm speaking right above the telephone. I'm going to start moving back now, and we'll see how good the pickup is on this telephone. So this is about 2 feet away from the telephone now, 3 feet away from the telephone, 4 feet away from the telephone. And this is kind of where I think it should still be working good, but I don't expect it to work much beyond this point because now we're just getting too far away for it to be realistic. 5 feet, 6 feet, 7 feet.
Message 3.
It did cut off, so I guess the pickup probably isn't all that great from a distance. Okay, this time I'm going to hang up using the buttons. I just turned it off speakerphone, so now it's on talk, and I'm going to hang up the call.
Message 4.
Okay, here we are on the base speakerphone. I'm hearing a bit of feedback on the base speakerphone. Not necessarily feedback, almost like a little bit of side tone coming through it, which is not necessarily supposed to happen. It is residing as I talk more, but it certainly is happening a little bit. I'm speaking about a foot above the telephone right over the table. It is on the carpet because I have found that putting it on the piece of wood does not really make it perform any better. It does change the sound quality, but it doesn't seem to really change the pickup all that much. So I'm going to start moving back from the telephone now. I'm about 2 feet away from the telephone, 3 feet away from the telephone. This is probably the approximate distance that you would talk on a base speakerphone set up at a computer table or something like that. Okay, now this is 4 feet away from the telephone, 5 feet away from the telephone, 6 feet away from the telephone, 7 feet away from the telephone, 8 feet away from the telephone, 9, 10, and now this is 11 feet away from the telephone, all the way across the room. And it hasn't cut off yet, so I guess it's still recording. So it must have been picking up clearly even at that distance.
End of messages.
Wow. I have to say, I am extremely impressed with these speakerphones. The pickup on the handset was absolutely phenomenal. Now, granted, it didn't capture the beginning and end of my voice perfectly, but I was speaking very quietly, even more quietly than I'm speaking now. If he was speaking a little bit louder or at what most people would consider to be a normal conversation volume, it would have picked up perfectly clearly at that 4 to 5 feet mark. And it didn't sound distant at all. A lot of times you can really tell when people are talking into a speakerphone, but this phone, not really. You know, if you was an approximate 4 or 5 feet away within that range of the handset, it sounded like you were speaking into the handset. It's really impressive. I've noticed that AT&T VTech Advanced American Telephones really made some solid handset speakerphones during the 5.8 gigahertz era. And the base speakerphone was also quite good. The pickup seemed to be a little bit more sensitive, but it too was very clear and captured the voice as if it was up close and not from a distance. So, I am very impressed with this telephone, and I'm definitely going to, after using it and seeing how well it performs, I'm definitely going to spend the time to try and repair the other couple of handsets, because this offers some really great performance. The range is not the greatest. You can hear it clipping out in the video, in the video, but in the testing message on the 2.4 side, the cordless computer network transmitter, which is 2.4 gigahertz, resides right above this testing bench. And so that's what I had mentioned earlier in the video, how the 2.4 side from the handset back to the base is still going to pick up interference with traditional Wi-Fi frequencies, despite the advertisements that these phones don't cause interference. But it did, once the enhancer mode turned on, it did clean up the signal quite a bit. And I could tell very distinctly when the enhancer mode kicked in. It was clipping out quite a bit, and then the enhancer mode kicked in and it was clear. Now, I want to make one more note before I close out the video about the batteries. Okay, I charged this battery for all night and then a portion of the day. So it was probably somewhere in the range of 15 to 20 hours. And look how it's already gone down. It's already gone down just from these testing calls. It looks like 2 or 3 pippers. Now these batteries, the pippers are very small. Probably has like 10 or 15 of them. But the point is, the battery should not be running down that quickly. So these Castar batteries are absolute garbage. I don't understand how you could sell something that's just so deplorable and people don't have a total outrage about it. This battery is unusable. You're only going to get like maybe 10 minutes of talk time out of that battery. It really is just deplorable. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video of the AT&T 5840. A great telephone, and I like it quite a bit.